Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, November 11th, 2024. This is the regular board meeting for the School District of Waukesha Board of Education. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Mark Borowski, Eric Brooks,
Here.
Thomas Harland,
Here.
Betty Koenig,
Here.
Carrie Kozlowski,
Here.
Diane Voigt,
Here.
David Wad,
Here.
Anthony Zenobia,
Here.
Kelly Piasek.
Here. Mark Borowski is excused for this evening. All right. Mrs. Ettinger, can you verify that the meeting has been properly posted?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. And we are going to begin tonight with recognitions.
Yes, we
So
are.
I'll turn it over to Dr. Siebert and introduce our athletes tonight.
All right, well, thank you, Dr. Piasek. So we have a real treat here for everyone tonight. It is an absolute joy to recognize and celebrate the Waukesha West boys soccer team, and along with them, Coach Bryce Warner, all of the talented players and their supportive families. We want to recognize Athletic Director Kyle Lemieux and Principal Tahare De Leon and the many, many fans of this amazing team as they have reached the ultimate pinnacle of success. And so please join me in celebrating the 2024 Division II state champions in the state of Wisconsin, the Waukesha West Wolverines. Welcome, Mr. Lemieux, and welcome, everybody.
Good evening. Don't mind these guys as they do a takeover of the room. And don't be blinded by the golden ball. But just allow me to very briefly introduce these guys, and I'll hand it over to the master of this operation here, Coach Warner. But first and foremost, we're just so proud of these guys because they've done it the right way. You know, being able to hold that gold ball is such a special accomplishment, but in Waukesha West Athletics, our vision, our top of the mountain, our big idea is win impressively. And so no one puts in this time, energy, and effort without the goal of winning. I mean, that is definitely part of the equation. That being said, our aim is to do everything we do in a manner that is impressive across the board, whether it's our interactions with officials, the way that we treat opponents, someone's grandmother in the stands, the way the bus driver thought of our team, and everywhere in between in our hallways. We want to stand out in impressive fashion. And so when you can combine those things, that's really what we're chasing. Specifically with these guys, we talk a lot about how do you grow in the categories of lead, compete, serve. And if you can grow as a leader, as a competitor, and as a servant by the end of your season, you're going to have a great year. And I am so proud because when we look at this group of guys and those that couldn't be here tonight, that's exactly what they've done. There are shining leaders in this group. You come watch one night out on the field and you know that these guys compete. And there are stories upon stories about how they give outside of themselves. And so I'm so impressed by that. And they really wrote an amazing story, and Coach Warner is going to share a little bit about that, but I'm just impressed and proud of them because they were brave enough to make a difficult story their story. They didn't just sweep through things. They found ways to get it done and face challenge, unlike a team that I've seen in a long time. And so I was really super impressed by that. And then you have this gentleman standing right here, Coach Bryce Warner. And Coach Warner is one of those guys that if I could have 30 of him in our building, that's exactly what I would order. As a head coach, he does everything we ask for and more. Just this last weekend was the annual Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association conference, and so I had the pleasure of speaking with a gentleman by the name of Phil Risen. He's actually the executive director of the NIAAA, so the National Organization of ADs. And so we were talking about great coaches, and what do great coaches do? And so there's this idea of this 90-10 rule that 90% of the job of a head coach is often unseen. The way you plan and prepare, the way you organize, the way you communicate, and then ultimately the way that you form a philosophy and implement it. That's the 90%. The 10% is competition out on the field, having an opponent standing next to you. But the 90-10 rule would be that a failure in the 90% all but guarantees a failure in the 10%. And so when I think about Coach Warner, I actually flipped that. And that long before that gold ball showed up, he had moved into an elite status in that 90%. He's an amazing planner. He's an incredible communicator. I know he shared with you a little bit about his philosophy and the way that he aims to do business within our program. Because he's put all those building blocks in place, he's given these guys a shot at being special. And so it takes great players to win those trophies right there, but without his leadership, we are also not standing here tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to toss it over to this state championship coach, Bryce Warner.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Kyle, for those kind words. I want to thank Dr. Piazek and Dr. Siebert for recognizing us tonight at the School District Waukesha Board of Education meeting. I want to thank the entire board and Dr. Siebert's administration for your support. I love my job. I love Waukesha West. I love the School District of Waukesha. We've been at a couple of these recognition nights the last 2 seasons. This time's a little different. We're here to celebrate the first ever boys or girls soccer state championship in the School District of Waukesha history. And the boys laugh at me, but I'm so obsessed with West soccer. I got some numbers just to put into perspective how historic this was. It took 229 total seasons across 3 high schools between the boys and girls soccer programs for this to happen. Furthermore, there's been 24 state appearances across the 3 high schools between the boys and girls soccer programs before that gold ball was hoisted. This is the first gold ball in any sport in 14 years at Waukesha West High School. And also, we're back-to-back sectional champions for the first time in boys soccer program history. In the last 3 calendar years, we've played 33 home games. In that stretch, we've gone 29, 2-2. At one point throughout that 3 years, we were ranked number 26 in the nation, state ranked number 1 overall, and consistently we've been within the top 10 for the last 3 seasons. The bittersweet part is we do graduate 13 incredible seniors. These seniors are 2023 Class A Conference champions, 4-time sectional finalists, 4-time regional champions, 3-time sectional champions, 3-time state qualifiers, and now they've cemented themselves in West history with the first ever state title while winning 2 penalty shootouts along the way. Last year, we lost in the state semifinal with 17 seconds left. The boys were really upset. They were crying. Thomas, he says, sorry. He said this is never going to happen again. So the boys decided to climb up that steep mountain again. Excuse me. With such pressure and high expectations, it was going to be really difficult. And this season, we talked about winning state every day. The boys even ran laps with a soccer ball over their head, and the ball would get heavier and heavier each lap. And our coaching staff told them, imagine it's the gold ball that you're working hard for. So after our win on Saturday, we actually ran on the field with the gold ball over our head. And this was a really fulfilling moment where everything we worked for had come full circle. So these young men earned a banner in our gym. They've earned a banner in our stadium. We're ordering championship rings. We were on the front page of the Waukesha Freeman yesterday. And they get a gold ball in the trophy case at Waukesha West forever. They wrote in stone their legacy. We entered state this year being 0-6 as a program in the state semis, and we won the biggest games back-to-back in our program's history. And really, it's a testament to their mentality, and that's really something we focus on is the preparation and the mental game. And if you watch the game, you'll see in the penalty kicks how some of our shooters that are here with us tonight, they walk up with such confidence. And our goalkeeper who's here with us tonight, he's playing the mental game. And so I'm really proud of them for their mental toughness. I tell the boys, when things don't go your way in soccer and life, use it as your motivation. So if they can work as hard and be as committed as they were to win this gold ball with their future family and their future career, they will ultimately be successful. My inbox has been filled with emails, texts from former players, alumni, coworkers, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for those congratulations. I also want to thank Dr. Siebert and Dr. Piazzik, who both reach out to me individually and directly to congratulate us. I also want to say a big thank you to Kyle Lemieux and Assistant Superintendent Ryan Pat. They both hired me when I was 22, and I hadn't even graduated college. So, sorry guys. My final thank you is to these boys. They're coachable, they listen, they work hard, and they deserve all the credit for this state championship. Thank you.
Before you all sit down or leave or grab another cookie, any comments? Mr. Zenobia,
I was just curious if that trophy was as heavy as it looks.
do you want to hold it? You can probably
No.
hold it.
I just want to say congratulations to all of you. You've done a fantastic job. Really appreciate your dedication, your care, and your passion. Amazing job.
Thank you.
Really.
I'm going to share just one thing. I warned Mr. Warner that I was going to say this, and I might even get emotional. But I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Warner at a professional development day in August. I went back and checked, it was August 22nd. And we were talking about how the season looked ahead, and what he said to me was, I'll see you at a board meeting with a trophy.
It's true.
And he believed in you guys so much, and I think that's just, we hear it, we hear the passion coming from him, but he really knew that you guys were something special, and he knew that you believed in yourselves, and it's just so impressive to see what you've accomplished, and we're really proud of you, and proud of your coach, too. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Congrats. All right. Next on the agenda tonight for Bright Lights, we'd like to welcome Tyler Pudliner and his mom and Katie to share their story around Bobbleheads Bring Us Together in that project. Welcome, Tyler.
Good evening, board members. My name is Tyler Pudliner, class of 2023 of the Waukesha Engineering Preparatory Academy. Just wanted to give a little shout out that way. I'm here to share with you the story of Bobbleheads Bring Us Together project. It's a very inspiring story of a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to spreading joy and resilience to children who have experienced traumatic situations. The Bobbleheads Bring Us Together project, or as we refer to it as the BBUTP, was born from a need to give to others in the wake of the Waukesha Christmas Parade attack on November 21st, 2021. I founded the project after I was severely injured when I was run over by the SUV driven by Darrell Brooks while marching with the Waukesha South Band. As one of the older children that were hurt in the incident, I wanted to find a way to help the younger children affected by the attack. Our mission, as you can read on the screen there, is simple but yet powerful, gifting one bobblehead to one warrior at a time. Some notable initiatives of Bobbleheads Bring Us Together project that I will be touching on in tonight's presentation are the Warrior Club, which features many heroic stories of redemption and recovery, our fundraising efforts such as supporting fallen first responders' families and continuing efforts of helping local families during the holiday season. So the Warrior Club. Our organization originally started in the first 2 months after the attack as the Waukesha Strong Bobblehead Project, as I called it. When I had posted to Facebook that I had 20 duplicate bobbleheads in my personal collection that I wanted to gift to as many children as affected by the parade as I could. After the two first giftings that we did and a summer full of planning, Bobbleheads Bring Us Together project officially became a 501c3 nonprofit organization just around the 1-year anniversary of the parade attack. BBUTP is not only about parade survivors, but all children that experience a traumatic situation. To date, we have shared a smile with 51 different warriors of all kinds of backgrounds, Christmas parade survivors and witnesses, childhood cancer patients, children of divorce, children who have lost a loved one very suddenly, and children who have experienced a major medical procedure. During a Bobblehead Bring Us Together project gifting, we put together a gift basket with many items personal to that child's liking. We include personalized sweatshirts or t-shirts, coloring books, stuffed animals, and we also have bobbleheads not just baseball related, but football, basketball, soccer, and non-sports related too even. Slide 3 highlights our fundraising campaigns. Bobbleheads Bring Us Together project has already made a significant impact in our fundraising efforts as well throughout our first 3 major fundraisers. We've started to pay back support to first responders by raising over $5,500 for the families of fallen Milwaukee Police Officer Peter Jerving and Officer James Nowak. We've also continued to epitomize the true meaning of Waukesha Strong by raising over $1,000 for the family of Waukesha West senior Brady Caproon, who tragically lost his life in a UTV accident over this past Labor Day weekend. In 2022, Bobbleheads Bring Us Together project entered the 59th annual Waukesha Christmas Parade with our Stronger Together float. That year's float highlighted every positive aspect of resiliency, strength, and hope, all while honoring the 6 lives we lost a year before. In 2023, an idea was presented to me to host a gift drive, to collect toys and clothes for local children in need. In 2023, we were able to collect over 200 toys for 3 different local organizations. We also handed out 40 bobbleheads to children in the crowd during the 2023 Christmas Parade. This year we have big plans once again, as our 2nd annual toy drive will be taking place on November 30th. That flyer was passed out to you guys before. And we will be entering our 3rd consecutive Waukesha Christmas Parade on December 9th. 8th, Yes, 8th. My bad. Next slide highlights our mascot, Counts, who is named after the former Brewers manager Craig Counsell. He's a 2-year-old rescue dog that is currently in training to become a therapy dog. As he is learning along the way throughout many Bobblehead Project events, he loves to meet new people in the community and get as much attention as possible, whether it be receiving belly rubs, lots of belly rubs, or giving kisses. Counts is doing his best to make a stand against mental health by giving all the love he can. We hope to one day, once Counts is trained, be able to take him on visits to local area hospitals and facilities to brighten the day and give love to as many kids as possible that do not necessarily get the opportunity to receive puppy love every day. This slide is very important, slide 6, sharing hope. One of the main reasons I'm here tonight is that I would like to discuss the topic of public speaking. I want to first thank Board Member Kozlowski and Dr. Siebert for allowing me to speak tonight. I feel that this is a very effective to talk about the importance of mental health with kids of all ages. We currently live in a society where mental health is one too many battles. I myself was very lucky to have a support system to help me progress through the stages of healing after the attack. This does not shine a light away from the fact that even though many people say I have handled both the physical and emotional recovery process well, I still have gone through stages where I linger on many feelings about the attack. And I feel that if I'm able to speak and get just one student who may be going through a similar situation to understand that it is okay to feel that way and that there is a way to progress through these emotions, all of us together will have achieved something very special to this society. I want to let you guys know that I do have some public speaking experience, that you can see on the board that I feel would help play a huge part in making the experience of speaking in Waukesha Public Schools great. This was a possibility that we touched on briefly in an email, I know. Just wanted to mention that. I have spoken to thousands of Waukesha County citizens, as I have always tell the story of how our organization came to be and what we hope it will become, along with reminding those citizens about staying Waukesha strong in the Christmas Parade every year. I've also spoken to multiple shifts of first responders at Milwaukee Police Department District 4, showing them that survivors can overcome evil and come out on the other side just as strong, if not stronger than before. The most important experience that I would like to share with you is that I have spoken in a school environment already before. In February of 2024, you can see on the far right picture, I spoke to a combined class of 54 students and staff at Frank Lloyd Wright Intermediate in West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. It was an amazing visit with those 8th grade students as we discussed the importance of maintaining a positive attitude and always being there for friends and family. I feel that because of the experiences, I would be able to bring a lot of positivity to our community schools and look forward to discussing this opportunity with the board further. Thank you for your time, and I ask you to consider supporting the Bobbleheads Bring Us Together project. Together we can all make a difference in the lives of many young warriors in the Waukesha School District and beyond. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Tyler.
Our information is up on the board as well if anybody doesn't have it already.
Thank you. Hang on one second. There might be some questions for you. Mr. Watt.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. There are a few things that I find more inspiring in this world than somebody who has experienced and survived tragedy, devastation, and use that as an inspiration to bring good and hope to that community and others around them. And I just want to thank you for all that you're doing within the community and for coming and sharing this project with us. It's, like I said, extremely inspiring, and I'm very grateful for everything you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Kozlowski.
So hopefully I don't choke, but I'm so proud. I am so proud of you, and to talk through what you survived as a fighter, to live on and to share. And I think, so much about what God's purpose was for you, and to push you through such a challenging, trying time, and to watch the success that you're having to give back to the community in such a huge way is overwhelming. Your strength, your power, and your leadership in being able to offer support to those who are going to need it at a point in times that your grief process is still ongoing. I am incredibly grateful for you and all that you're doing for our community, and just as a fellow mom and community member, I'm so proud of you, and I'm looking forward to watching all of the ways that you're going to help others around this community further.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here, and just wanted to echo the comments of my colleagues. I've gotten the opportunity to get to know you guys both a little bit over the last year, and I'd recently moved to Waukesha a few months before the Christmas parade attack, and I was just so inspired by how this community came together in the wake of tragedy. I grew up in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, and in 2012 we had a tragedy strike our town too, and it was it's easy, especially in our world where we're hyper-polarized, where it's easy to seem like we're not together, but when things get really difficult, it's really inspiring to see, as Mr. Wad mentioned, folks take something that is so horrific and tragic, but turn it into something that's a positive for the community and a way to give back and a way to inspire hope. And I think that is one of the reasons why, the Waukesha Strong motto, it's not just a motto, it's something that's so ingrained in this community. And I think you guys had a huge role in helping build that, and I'm very proud to have gotten to know you guys over the last year, and I'm very proud of the work that you're doing. I can also vouch for Counts. Having walked in a couple parades with him this summer, he definitely brings a lot of joy, and I think he's going to make a wonderful therapy dog.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and for
Appreciate
being
it,
here
guys.
with us tonight. Thank you. All right, next we have our student representatives. We have Sam Heinzelman and Yahirin Gomez, and they are going to report on events and activities at South High School.
Good evening. Thank you for having us, and we are excited to share what makes Waukesha South so special to both of us. Okay, so my name, as you said, is Samantha Heinzelman. I'm the public relations officer for our student council, so that brings me here. My future plans are to attend a four-year college for English secondary education, so maybe I'll come back. I also am involved in cheer. I've been the captain of both the cheer and the track teams. At Waukesha South, I play soccer. I'm in the health academy, so I've done some pro healthcare mentoring, shadowing through there. I'm the vice president of our Best Buddies Club. I'm in our Key Club. I've been part of HOSA. I'm in the National Honor Society. I do ski and snowboard club. I'm an avid, which I love. I'm a camp counselor, a deacon, and I was a part of our link crew, which is our freshman orientation.
And my name is Yairin Gomez Gonzalez. So I aspire to attend a four-year college majoring in biology and hopefully under a pre-med track. Some of the key aspects that I think make me so specialized in Waukesha South, and especially in the Academy of Health Professions that we have, is that the grant opportunities that we are getting and that I am fortunately taking advantage of. One of which is the WCTC Medical Interpreting Program, which is just a 2-year program where I'm working to become a medical interpreter. I am also part of the Pro Healthcare Shadowing Program that Sam was discussing, and I am Vice President of Student Councils for Student Council at Waukesha South, along with being a representative of the Academy of Health Professions Governance Board. So to first start off, we would like to welcome our new black shirts. We are happy to have them on our team. We have Mr. Rooney, who is our new assistant principal, along with Mrs. Dicosola, who is our school counselor, happens to be my school counselor, and Sam's.
Me too.
Mrs. Borland, who is also a new school counselor, and Mrs. Mack, who is our new psychologist. We are grateful to have them in our new team.
All right, and then we had 4 National Merit semifinalists, and then in like the top right, that's Sophia Antheline. She got a perfect score on the PSAT, and all 4 of these students at Waukesha South were in the top 1% of PSAT takers.
So as Sam had mentioned in her little introduction, that she is also part of Link Crew along with I. Link Crew is just the very freshman orientation where we invite and gather all of our new incoming black shirts to join our community. We're very spirited, and one of our most traditional events at Link Crew is that we welcome all of our new incoming freshmen with loud music, get them pumped into the event, have them going, and hopefully participate in all the activities that we prepare for them, sort of foreshadowing what it is like to be a black shirt and how they'll continue growing throughout the 4 years of high school.
All right, so to celebrate some of our successes in sports for cross country, senior Owen Linscomb qualified and competed at the Ridges Golf Course in Wisconsin Rapids, which was the state championship for boys cross country.
And then we also want to congratulate our girls cross country. They work very hard. They're a very friendly group. Our Waukesha South JV girls team took home first place at the Lake Country Lutheran Invitational.
Our soccer team said farewell to 7 very dedicated, very nice seniors. I know they will be missed on the soccer field. I've heard nothing but good things about our soccer team.
And then we also wanted to present our new stadium, the Ken Holub Stadium. It is very fresh, very new. It is very nice because it hosts all of our school spirit. You're going to find our parents, our family, our friends, our students. It hosts our black shirt pride and really brings out what is so special about Waukesha South as we support all of our fellow black shirts.
All right, so Southfest is a tradition we have every year. All of our clubs, a lot of our sports will have booths. It's a fundraiser, but it's also so fun. The community comes out. A lot of people are there. There's kids, there's high schoolers, there's alumni, there's people that didn't go to South or know nothing about South except they see inflatables on the lawn and bring their kids. But this year we had a dress campaign, which was really cool. It's like there were a bunch of homecoming dresses, a bunch of prom dresses, and people could just try them on, and if they fit, you could take them for free at no cost. And you could also donate used dresses, slightly used, which was a super cool thing for everyone to benefit from.
And then our dance team, we would like to bring out that at their most recent competition, We are D2, and they won D2 Jazz, second place, along with D2 Palm, second place. Our senior, Julia Barron, one of many of our seniors, took home third for her solo. They're very talented, very spirited. We love watching them at our homecoming pep rally games and just presenting overall. It's just very engaging.
All right, our Latino Student Union is a very big part of our culture at Waukesha South. We just celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month. On the announcements every day, there was a Spanish quote, usually in Spanish. All of our announcements, like the Pledge of Allegiance, is said in both English and Spanish to celebrate our big Latino student population. We love having them around. It's a very nice, connected community. You don't have to be Hispanic to be in the Latino Student Union. It's a very welcoming community at Waukesha South.
And then we also have our students of the quarter. The teachers select students who represent or showed excellence in a specific subject. It doesn't necessarily have to be a core subject such as math, reading, social studies, whatever it is. It could branch off to music and to gym, and it really just showcases all of the talents that we host at Waukesha South, and it really demonstrates that our students are very diverse, not just in terms of of ethnicity, race-wise, but also just in talent-wise. We host a lot of different talent, and it's all showcased through our student of the quarters and our athletes of the quarter.
So our athletes of the quarter are nominated by South coaches. Every quarter, there's new athletes. They get a little certificate of recognition. It shows that their coaches can see that they are working hard and showing up for Waukesha South.
And then we also have I would say a very good number of student staff alumni. And so basically in the picture there you can see a few of the alumni members that we had come back to South, and it's very nice because we can see that these students grew up in Waukesha South. They went on to higher education, and then they decided to come back to the school that they once grew up in. It's very nice to have them all back, and just such a welcoming community that they want to continue promoting it to the other students at Waukesha.
This is you.
Along with that, we also have our student schedule magnets. They're brand new and they're very beneficial to student organization. If you see on the bottom right corner of that magnet, there's a little Scan Me QR code. That QR code sends students out to Google Links where they can know more about their staff members, such as administrators. They know more about the information about them, how to reach them, and it is a very important tool because it connects students with staff, and that's ultimately what Waukesha South is all about, promoting a very friendly student-staff community.
All right, so homecoming and our pep rally. Our pep rally is kind of our claim to fame. We did have a quote from the Waukesha West athletic director who was in here before. He came to our pep rally to see, and he said he had been to 19 pep rallies, he thought, and quote unquote, nothing came close to ours. We really embody, our homecoming pep rally embodies our school spirit. We love running it, we love having it. It's really a fun time. Everyone shows up. It shows how strong our South community is. Everyone's there, everyone's playing the games, everyone's cheering on our cheer and dance teams. Everyone's there to watch the seniors lose to the staff in a game of tug of war. It's super cool. It's super fun.
And then one of the projects that was hosted by some of our students at Waukesha South is the Retzer Nature Center project. It's called the Eagle Scout project, basically ran by some of our students from the Waukesha Engineering Academy. Colton was actually the first one to lead this, along with Jonathan and Sam. With the three of them, they provided signs at the Retzer Nature Center, which assembled aspects to visitors to look at, to know more about the information, and to really just promote that nature, the health of nature in our community, as promoted by the Retzer Nature Center.
All right, and then another Eagle Scout was senior Jacob Nienhaus. He's on the soccer team, and he built birdhouses around the soccer team to reduce the mosquito population and also reduce maybe the number of birds on the soccer field. So maybe they'll be in their houses, hopefully. And he also had some help from other South students. Seemed like a pretty big job, but he did it very well.
And then our mock trial team. So Waukesha South's mock trial team has been very strong in history in the past, and it continues to be strong. Recently, they just had their Chicago Empire competition, which is a worldwide competition where different mock trial teams come together and not necessarily compete, but they build up from each other. And so Waukesha South placed 6th place out of 44. And this is the 3rd consecutive national tournament in which competitors selected from Waukesha South received the Spirit Award. Again, it just reflects back to Waukesha South's main value, which is school spirit, promotion of kindness, friendliness. We're just such an open group. And it shows in even smaller aspects of our team, of our clubs, such as mock trial. We also wanted to recognize Amelia Waltz for being awarded the best witness at the Chicago Empire competition.
All right, and then we are a PLTW distinguished school, we have been for the past few years. Being in the Health Academy, we do see this through a lot of hands-on learning, a lot of hands-on labs. We get a lot of cool stuff to look at. We're doing like suturing right now, which is super cool. It's a super cool experience to get. So we're very grateful for PLTW and their programs.
And then HOSA is also, it's not necessarily just directed towards Health Academy students, but just any students that are directed or interested in the healthcare field. And basically there's a lot of different categories that are promoted in HOSA, such as medical terminology, you could do CPR, and it goes from regional levels to state levels to international levels. And so we've had members of our HOSA community reach up to those international levels. Along with many of ours, most of the club ends up going to our state competition. This was an image taken at our South Fest, which is an event that we had discussed about with the inflatables, where students just promote HOSA clubs, the HOSA club, along with activities that are somewhat promoted in the club.
All right, so Peers for Peers is a club, a student body organization that really cares and uplifts other students. So it's students helping students, which I think is super cool. SDW Cares partnered with Peers for Peers. We made a website. It launched on just recently. And it has a lot of mental health tools, a lot of mental health resources. It brings attention to that mental health is a problem in our community, and there are resources that students, parents, teachers, anyone is able to use. And then we also have new banners in our school. So on the top left, or the whole top actually, yes, and the bottom right, those are new banners in our building, new murals in our building, and it just is a very welcome place and a very safe space for students to be vulnerable with their mental health if they need to be.
And then the Black Shirt Family newsletter is something that is very special and very helpful to both students, staff members, and family members. So it is important for us, and it is an ongoing vision that students, along with staff, are connected to parents, where they're up and knowing about what's going on with the community. So our principal, Mrs. D'Amato, she sends out a family newsletter weekly, giving out new information about our school, new events, new opportunities, just basically just reviewing all of what's happening for the week and what will continue happening for the next weeks. It is important to note that we get more than 1,200 views per newsletter, so it is a tool that is being utilized by families, and it is continuing to help with just awareness on what is going on with our school.
All right, so March Fest is our marching band competition that our Waukesha South Bands program hosts. Every September, 15 to 20 bands come to Waukesha South. That's a lot of students. In the new Ken Holub Stadium, so I'm sure they appreciated the new bleachers this year. It's the second largest band competition in the state, and it's usually filled to the capacity. I've been. Students everywhere, families everywhere, hot chocolate everywhere, 'cause sometimes it's cold. It helps support the Waukesha South Band, including concert band, jazz band, marching band, soloists, the band people that want to do ensembles, and we honor our senior band members this night as well.
And then speaking about March Fest and the marching band is just a very strong community. Pictured there are 4 of our seniors. It is important to know that the marching band is very strong, very well developed, and they continue growing, not just as band members, but they're almost like family. They spend a lot of time together, and because after going through the Waukesha Christmas parade accident, they've come together to really emphasize growth and improvement, and really like showing their strength and demonstrating agility, and able to overcome the situation, and just persevering through some of the challenges that they have faced. But they perform at the March Fest, and along with, they're very collaborative with other high schools bands such as Waukesha Wests and Waukesha Norths. So it's just a very collective community overall between our Waukesha South band, marching band and the other Waukesha community marching band members.
All right, so our girls swim team is actually a co-op with Mukwonago, and we had 3 state qualifiers from South. So Brody qualified in the 50 free, the 100 butterfly, and the 200 free relay. So she's going to have a busy day. Kenzie qualified for the 500 free and the 400 free relay, and Kelsey qualified for the 200 free relay, and I believe that's this Saturday. So we wish them the best of luck.
And then Best Buddies is another club where it's very inclusive. It is where students partner with the special education program, come together to do communities, really make them feel welcome and know that they are part of our Waukesha Black Shirt community. It's very fun. We encourage other Waukesha South student members to do it, and Sam is actually part of that. She is vice president. But it is just a very engaging community, a very nice club that includes special education students, and Waukesha, just really engaging all of Waukesha South's community and inclusiveness.
All right, and then we have a senior spotlight for Amalia Waltz. She was a member of this year's state honors choir, which has been a model for other states throughout the country for recognizing outstanding high school, middle school musicians in public schools. So this is band, choir, orchestra, jazz. Amalia auditioned for this program last February and was selected in April. So she participated in a 4-day camp at UW Green Bay, and then she performed in Madison just a couple weeks ago at the Overture Center for the Arts, which is super cool. It's kind of like an all-state experience. It's very selective and a very tremendous accomplishment for Amalia. We are very proud of her.
And then we would also like to bring out attention to the Grab and Go kiosk, which is it's a new recent addition to Waukesha South. It is actually the only kiosk offered in the whole Waukesha community, so we're very grateful to have it. I think it is a very useful tool. I personally go there a lot. It hosts like different snacks, drinks for students to just grab quickly when running from a class to another. Since our cafeteria is kind of isolated from the rest of the school, it is a little hard for students to get from a class break down to the cafeteria. So the Grab and Go kiosk is very well centered, it's very well centered in our school. So students are able to just grab and go and just have snacks provided to them that they can use and they could have between breaks.
All right, so our Black Shirt Players, that's our drama program, is playing a Midsummer Night's Dream at the moment, and their one-act play is also state-bound soon, I believe. And then cheer. So we are 5-time co-ed state champions, 5 in a row. And newly this season, we've been more involved in our community a lot. We served at the Hope Center. We went to a community garden that was connected to the Hope Center. We've performed halftime routines with our alumni. We brought our parents in this year. So we had our parents on the football field. And we have 85 children in our youth program. So that's 1st to 8th grade. And we did a routine with them, and they're very involved as well. They've been competing. They started last weekend. And there are 13 coaches in our youth and high school programs, and 12 of them are South alumni, which brings back our ideals of community in Waukesha South.
And then we would like to speak about our Southside Diner. It is the Chef Foods class. Their final and their midterm is to present a diner for Waukesha South students. It is a very successful business, I should say. It is very engaging. Students in Chef Foods enjoy doing this, giving out for the community, giving out to the black shirts. I go there every single time it's hosted. I buy more than once. It is just something super thrilling, super fun that I like to be a part of. I'm not in the Chef Foods class, but I love supporting them. I love knowing that they did a very well job at preparing all the food, and it keeps us full, which is great.
Yes, it does. All right, so we would just like to highlight from last year our seniors that signed into the military or for college. So we have some on this slide.
And then we have like our signing day for the athletes. So all of this come together just really represents, and it brings pride to Waukesha South because they've accomplished so many tremendous things here at Waukesha South, and they're on to doing great, tremendous things afterwards. So it's a very great accomplishment and brings pride to our black shirt community.
All right, and then from last year we had 340 graduating seniors, 62 different colleges, 55 students with the seal of biliteracy, 4 global scholars, 62 dual language graduates, 20 students in normal Waukesha South, the Waukesha Academy of Health Professions, and the Waukesha Engineering Preparatory Academy earned a 30 or higher on the ACT. We had 14 dual enrollment academy seniors, so that's with WCTC or Carroll, and then 388 transcripted credit courses were being taken.
And then the scholarship night is something that we host at Waukesha South every year. It is normally attended during the spring. It's basically just showing the Waukesha South and just the black shirt community all the accomplishments and all the scholarships awarded to some of our students, and here are some stats about it. So last year during the 2024 our Waukesha South Scholarship Night was hosted May 15th. There were 75 and more seniors that received scholarships from not just around this community but just around all of the United States. So over 140 scholarships and awards were given and were offered to students, and that was like an equivalent to around $1.3 million in total funds awarded. So it was just great seeing that our students were really pushed themselves to persevere and to just help with growing after high school.
All right, so AVID, I'm an AVID. AVID is great. We are an AVID nationally recognized school. We do tutorials. It's drilled into us from freshman year, some people in middle school. They're great. I feel very prepared to go to college. I feel very prepared for study sessions. It's a great way to connect with our peers, to do some of our studying student-led. We have help from tutors, our teachers, but also just ourselves. So one person will present their question on the board, and they'll do a 30-second speech about why they're confused, why they need help, and then a circle of students is sitting around just waiting to help them, helping them with new strategies to find out why they're confused, or to find out how to make it less confusing, or just to find the answer. So math is a super easy one, but we've also dove into topics, deeper topics like history or AP government or English, all of the stuff, how to write a better essay. Last year, a lot of college essays were the topic of tutorials, so yeah. And then through AVID, we've had over 3.4 million scholarships awarded. So AVID, we're really pushing on scholarships. We really push on college applications. 255 AP classes were taken by AVID students last year. 71 PLTW classes were taken by AVID students last year. And we had 21 first-generation college students that graduated out of the AVID program.
And then, so something that we also like to promote for our middle schools and incoming black shirts is our 8th grade open house. I have participated in it before, working with the Health Academy and really just promoting our idea, our vision, and what students are looking for when joining this academy. When joining this academy and overall our black shirt community. So it's just very engaging, very thrilling. We hope to get incoming Black Shirts excited for this because it is just a very welcoming school. It's very inclusive, and it is something that we find pride in showing off to students who are incoming to South. And
Thank you for
yeah,
your
just
time.
Thank you for your time.
How impressive. So much stuff, and you guys covered it beautifully. Excellent presentation, excellent slides, and I'm confident there are questions or comments. Mrs. Koenig, and then Mrs. Voigt.
You girls were wonderful. Wow. So engaging, so much fun to listen to. You can just see the excitement. I love when I get invitations to go to anything at South. The last couple of years, I've probably been to almost everything. I look forward to it. I went to Band Fest. I went to South Fest. I went to the soccer game. I saw the new stadiums. Beautiful. Your dance team is phenomenal. Everything that you showed, I'm going to Midsummer Night's Dream tomorrow night. I love when we get invited, and I love because I feel like I'm welcomed. When I get there, I even feel more welcomed. Everyone is so excited, that we're a part of it. The excitement is just everywhere. It's electrifying. Even when I was at the South Fest, when I went there, it was amazing. You have something really special there, and I have not seen that in quite a long time, within the high school. I just want to congratulate South there. You got it going on. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Your Black Shirt pride is just amazing. You did a great job. And I think your kindness and your sense of community really comes through. And through so many of the examples that you were sharing, that it's really, it's great to hear that you have 22 staff members that are there, returning after being students there. And hopefully you'll come back later on when you get your education degree as well.
I'm always just curious to hear a little bit about your personal decisions about what you're pursuing after high school. So how did you make those decisions around biology and secondary English?
Okay, so I actually was not sure that I wanted to be a teacher, but I teach gymnastics at the YMCA downtown. And one time I just got home from teaching my classes, and I was like, I really don't want to do anything else. I can't see myself doing anything else. I've had amazing English teachers all the way through. I can't remember not feeling welcome in an English class, and I want to make that environment for my students someday. I love it. I shadow a teacher at Higher Elementary School. I love it. I love everything about it. I can't see myself doing anything else. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I came to my interest of medicine because growing up, I was just always thrilled by the idea of going to see the doctors. I know it's kind of silly, but I loved the environment. I loved knowing all the different tools and everything, and it just started off something small like that. And in middle school, I went to a lot of the orientations for the high schools because I was actually interested in both Waukesha West and Waukesha South. But ultimately, I went to Waukesha South school choice because of the Academy of Health Professions. And so within that program, I had that passion as a child, but I never really experienced and flourished on it until high school. So with some of the mentorship programs, because I'm also part of a physician's assistant mentorship program with Carroll University, and then along with shadowing pro healthcare staff, so it's not just family doctors, but also lab technicians and registered nurses. I just really got some of that insight as working in a healthcare field. And then now that I'm working in a healthcare field as a nursing assistant, because I was certified through WCTC as well, I love the community, and it's something that I just completely want to continue growing in. And especially with my I would call it a gift of being bilingual, growing in a Spanish-speaking household and seeing struggle within that community. It is something that I want to bring out, and it's something that I want to promote, just bringing out benefits to communities that don't really have that advantage or don't have those benefits, and just knowing that there are those opportunities like medical interpreting in healthcare fields. So it's kind of just a combination of everything, just experiences, passions. But yeah.
You're both so inspiring, and so I know we get to hear from South one more time the school year, at least once more. Yep. So wish you the best of luck and congratulations to both of you and to all of South.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We are now at the section of our meeting where there's an opportunity for citizens to speak. We have one speaker tonight because there are 6 speakers or less. Our speaker will be notified at 3 minutes, but allowed up to 5 minutes to complete their comments. We expect our speakers to honor our time limit, refrain from using any inappropriate language, and to be respectful in their comments. Speakers who do not meet these expectations may be prohibited from speaking at future board or committee meetings. Speakers are here to address the board, not the audience. The school board does not endorse any comments made by members of the community here tonight. We'd like to remind our community members of the impact of their words on others and that our children are watching. We commit to communicating with you in respectful and productive ways and ask that you do the same. We also expect that the audience will be respectful of the speaker and of the board and refrain from responding with verbal comments, cheering, applause, or other behavior that will detract from the meeting. Please note that no obstructions can be created between the board and the audience. Visual aids cannot be used, and the area behind the speaker and podium shall be clear during public comment. Also, in order to respect our speakers and meeting participants, please silence your cell phone. Our speaker this evening is Paul Reese.
Good evening. Came tonight to speak on this portion of the meeting. It's on the, it's in the consent agenda. I thought it was going to be in the regular agenda for the policy meeting. So, part of the things I have issues with or things that were said were about, it was about the decorum it talked about. We wanted to express that. And decorum is something that Lynn Edelman recently gave a ruling on, said absolutely you have the right to enforce. It is almost mandatory. You're expected to do this. But what you're talking about largely in that meeting was with the public and what the public does and how when public people from citizens come up and speak. But what about when employees do? What about problems when employees do this? Because I was intimidated at the old building. I was surrounded in the other room and had masks thrown at me and was told that I had to do something to wear them, where they stood around my table when I sat there and minded my own business and was intimidated, was purposely trying to intimidate. When they figured out it wasn't going to work, then they called the cops on me. And then when the cops showed up, the cops threatened to give them all tickets because they were outside beeping their horns trying to disrupt the meeting. So when employees behave like that, what's the consequences for that? That's never been addressed. It wasn't brought up the other night, but that was awfully childish, the way they behaved. If you're going to hold the citizens to a standard, your employees should be held to one, at least some sort of standard. Another thing is you talk, in the wording that's read, that Dr. Piasek read, is, to be respectful. That's a very word that drives me nuts, because it's the perspective of what I'm saying. You can use that as a tool to say, I didn't feel that was respectful what you said, or and I don't have to be respectful. I really don't. Whether I choose to or not is up to me. And then you say, I can't hold up a sign. Yet every time I walk up here, there's one held up at me. And it says respect. But I'm not allowed to do the same. I'm not allowed to hold up a sign, and my privilege to speak would be taken away if I did that. So there are some things I have problems with, those type of standards that are held here, and that I have a problem with, just as far as my freedom of speech goes, that those are roadblocks that can be used to laud over someone. You have to be respectful. Mark said something to the fact that, I've heard, people say stuff that made me question what they were, was that appropriate or not. I don't really give a crap if what I said was appropriate or not.
2
I really
minutes.
don't. It's not up for him to judge what is appropriate coming out of a citizen's mouth to address you. It's not. It's up to the chair is the leader here, and if they have a problem, I would assume that she would say something. But to sit there and everyone want to interrupt a speaker, that would be obnoxious as well. So anyways, those are my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we will move into, we'll move into our minute approval. We have 2 sets of minutes. I feel like my microphone's not on. Is that better? Any better? Oh, there we go. All right. We have 2 sets of minutes for your consideration tonight. We have the we have the minutes from the October 9th regular board meeting and the October 28th special board meeting. Be looking for a motion.
A motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Koenig.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Kozlowski. Any comments, corrections, or questions? Okay, Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Betty Koenig?
Aye.
Eric Brooks?
Aye.
David Wad?
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia?
Aye.
Thomas Harland?
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski?
Aye.
Diane Voigt?
Aye.
Kelly Piasek?
Aye, passes 8-0. Thank you. Next, we'll move into our WEF report. That'll be given by Mrs. Koenig tonight.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. The Waukesha Education Foundation Board of Directors met on November 7th, 2024. WEF is looking forward to sharing our story with the Board of Education and community during the December Bright Lights presentation. We had a successful Elegant Farmers Sale and also started our year-end donation drive, which will run between now and the end of December, with some special marketing going out beginning again on Giving Tuesday. For every $50 direct donation to WEF is donating a pair of youth-sized waterproof winter gloves to the Christmas Clearing Council to distribute to youth in our immediate community. We are hoping that this program will encourage people to be twice as nice this holiday season. We are calling the program Share the Gloves. Please consider a donation or consider sharing our marketing efforts with friends and family. A reminder that the Evening for Education date is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. Mark your calendars. Sponsorships, including table sponsorships, are now available. There is an invite at each of your desks, and if you are interested in attending, please reach out to either myself or the WEF office for a special discount code. We are still accepting award nominations through the end of December. Visit our website at www.waukeshaeducationfoundation.org and click on the awards link. Please feel free to nominate an organization or individual. Winners will be honored at the Evening for Education in March. We are pleased to receive 4 applications and 4 open board positions for terms starting in 2025. Our board will officially vote on these applications next month. Please follow our social media as we are featuring our 2023 grant winner reports from now until the start of January. You can learn more about the completed projects and impacts on student learning through our social media posts. Please share them and help us highlight these great projects. Please mark your calendars for our 2025 events. WEF Evening in Education, again, is March 18th, 2025. Partners in Education Reception is June 17th, 2025. And annual golf outing is again in August. It's August 7th, 2025. On behalf of WEF, thank you for your service to our community. We know this can be a thankless job, and we appreciate your efforts to make our district a great place to learn. We wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Madam President, that concludes my WEF report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Koenig. All right, we'll move into the consent agenda, beginning with Mr. Clark, who will present our gift report.
Yeah, 3 gifts to report out on tonight. Waukesha West received $2,500 from Sharon Bloom to be used for team supplies and travel expenses to winter tournaments. Hadfield Elementary received 2 checks totaling $3,227.50 from St. Luke's Church. This money will be used to provide extra educational experience for Hadfield students. And the SDW MAID program received $3,500 from Generac to be used to update, repair, or purchase new equipment or project supplies, as well as assist in funding the MAID scholarship given out to all 3 high schools.
Thank you. Your consent agenda includes various categories for approval. If any board member wishes to have an item set aside for separate consideration, you will have that opportunity in a moment. There were no expulsions for consideration tonight. The policies for approval under consent agenda are Policy 5610, Suspension and Expulsion, Policy 2340, Field Trips and Other District-Sponsored Trips, Policy 8640, Transportation for Field and Other District-Sponsored Trips, which is rescinded, and Policy 167.3, Public Comments at Board Meetings, renamed to 167.3, Public Comment and Decorum at Board Meetings. If any board member wishes to have an item set aside for separate consideration, please indicate so at this time. Mr. Wad.
Yes, I would like to pull out of the consent agenda Policy 0167.3, Public Comment at Board Meetings.
Thank you. So we will move that to your committee report.
Yes. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Who's presenting the consent agenda tonight? Mrs. Koenig. Okay. All right. Mrs. Koenig, will you please present the amended consent agenda?
Thank you, Madam President. We have 2 retirements for approval this evening. I move that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
As amended.
As amended.
Yep.
Second.
Motion and seconded to approve the amended consent agenda. All right. Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Carrie Kozlowski.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Thomas Harland.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye. Passes 8-0.
Okay.
Moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Siebert.
All right, thank you, Dr. Piasek. We'll begin tonight with the overnight field trip report given by Ms. Gennerman.
Good evening. We have just a few field trips to share information about. So recently, the West Boys Cross Country WIAA state meet in Wisconsin Rapids was approved for November. Another West one is for the girls basketball. There's a holiday tournament in December. That's over the holiday break. The next one coming up, and that was approved, will be in February, and that is for South. That's cheerleading, the UCA National High School Cheerleading Championship, potentially in Orlando, Florida. And then pre-approved recently was the Washington, D.C. trip for Horning. This is for current 8th grade students after 8th grade. That would be in June of this year.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Gennerman. Very briefly, for the board this evening, we've certainly had a very exciting evening to date, and it's really, I think it's a privilege to recognize the great amount of success we have in our students, in our staff, in the school district of Waukesha in general, and as well as in the greater Waukesha community. It's really a privilege. And believe it or not, this is the last board meeting and any kind of meeting we're going to have before Thanksgiving. And if you're like me, it does not seem, Mr. Zenobia and I were talking on the way up, it's the weather, I don't know what it is, but it does not seem like we are at that part of the year. But we are, and so that's always the time of year that I reflect on all the things that I have to be grateful for and how blessed I am. I know all of you do that as well. And so I just want to thank you for your service. I want to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. And that'll conclude my report, Dr. Piasek. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well. We are going to begin our committee reports tonight with teaching and learning, and that'll be presented also by Mrs. Koenig.
Thank you, Madam President. The Teaching and Learning Committee met last week, Thursday, November 7th, 2024. 3 discussion and information items appear on the agenda for teaching and learning this evening. First, we have a Spanish World Language Resources update as an informational item. The Spanish World Language Department is undertaking a new curriculum introduction for grades 6 through 12 in the 2024-2025 school year. Educators are primarily self-curating their resources since it has been over a decade since a curriculum review. As staff, technology, and students' instructional needs have changed, the team feels that common and aligned resources would better meet the needs of students and support educators. The team will begin piloting selected instructional resources this fall and will provide an update once completed and prior to bringing a recommendation for curriculum resources to the Teaching and Learning Committee. Second was a library plan update. State statute PI 8.01 School District Standard outlines library media services requirements regarding a long-range plan. In August of 2023, the STW library plan was approved by the T&L committee and then the full school board. The long-range plan focuses on 3 areas: collaborative leadership, budget and curriculum, and instruction. This report provided an update on the library plan. More specifically, the team shared an overview of this year's strategic actions and progress from last school year. The team highlighted new texts acquired for elementary classroom read-alouds that align with our new literacy curriculum, and also the focus on increasing our library collection with books written in Spanish. Our third and final information item was a state assessment results update. The Wisconsin Student Assessment System, or WSAS, is a comprehensive statewide program designed to provide information about what students know in core academic areas and whether they can apply what they know. Each fall, state assessment results are made public and can be found on WISE-. This report provided a summary of how students in SDW performed on the ACT, pre-ACT Secure, and the Wisconsin Forward exam. The average composite score for juniors during the 23-24 school year was 19.7, which exceeds the state average of 19.2 and reflects a 0.8 increase over a 3-year period compared to a 0.1 point increase statewide over the same period. Percentages of students on target to meet the college and career benchmarks for English and math in 9th and 10th grade were also shared and reflect higher than Wisconsin averages. The Wisconsin Forward exam results were shared after information on new proficiency levels was highlighted. Unfortunately, due to the changes in proficiency levels for 2024, data cannot be compared to previous years. 58.5% of students in grade 3 performed in the updated meeting or advanced performance levels in the area of ELA. 44.7% of the 8th grade students fell within the meeting or advanced performance level in the area of math. Madam President, that concludes the Teaching and Learning Committee report. Our next meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the boardroom here at the Blair Administration Building. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments about TNL? We had a good discussion at the committee. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Koenig. Our next committee report is Student Services, presented by Mr. Zenobia.
Thank you, Dr. Piasek. So the Student Services Committee had met on November 7th. We had 2 action items and 1 discussion and information item on the agenda. The first action item was Policy 5610, since suspension and expulsion. Mr. Ryan Pat had reviewed the current policy and recommended changes. The policy is revised to include optional language for the board to express preference for non-exclusionary discipline, and is also updated to cross-reference the administrative guidelines on discipline for students with disabilities. Consideration of these revisions was recommended, and the updates to the policy were approved in the committee and added to the consent agenda this evening. The second action item that we went over was Policy 5610.03, which was alternatives to expulsion and reentry plans. Again, Mr. Pat, Mr. Mark Leonard presented the new policy to address common practice of providing students an opportunity to avoid the expulsion hearing process in circumstances where administration determines it is appropriate to offer a reentry plan with conditions designed to correct the behavior. This is a voluntary process that requires the student and parent of a minor student to agree to a set of conditions which, if adhered to, avoid the student's referral to the board for possible expulsion. On a vote of 4-0, the Student Services Committee approved policy 5610.03, alternatives to expulsion and reentry plans as presented. The committee requests board approval, and I so move.
I second it.
Mrs. White, seconded by Mrs. White. Any questions? Mr. Wad?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this data is available to us tonight, but I'm just curious. I wondered as I was watching the discussion from the committee meeting, do we know where we're at in terms of the number of students who are maybe on a year-over-year or a trending pattern entering the pre-expulsion process or then finding their way to expulsion? It feels to me like, at least from an expulsion panel perspective, we haven't seen anything in quite a while, which is obviously great. I think that's wonderful, obviously. I guess I'm just wondering, how much of the work that's already being done, that's being sort of memorialized here as policy, is working. Is that one of the things that we can attribute to the decrease in the expulsions we're seeing? Do you have any of that data available, Mr. Pat?
I don't have the direct data. What I can say is, yes, it is attributing to lack of expulsions where these alternatives have been in place the last couple of years, and so we put it into policy to be clear about that. Currently, this year, give you an anecdotal, between 8 and 12 pre-expulsion meetings have happened so far this year. I can get that exact data, but that's roughly my recollection.
Yeah, I'd just be curious to see if, obviously, if we're seeing less entering the pre-expulsion process as well, that would be wonderful news too. But I guess I'm just curious if we have some way of, actually seeing visually how these particular, reentry plans are decreasing our actual expulsion hearings, and having to make those kinds of decisions at all.
I'll be sure to get updated data to share with the board.
All right, thank you very much.
Would that be an appropriate possible future topic for student services? When or if the data becomes available? Okay. Mr. Wad, was there anything related to your comments that reflects on the policy specifically?
No, I guess one of the reasons I wanted to ask was I just wanted to ensure that the policy that we're adopting, we already have real-world evidence that it's working and is having a significant impact on decreasing the number of students that face expulsion, so.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski.
Aye.
Thomas Harland.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 8-0. Back to you.
All right, our discussion and information item was on safety drills, an update that Mr. Pat had presented on the logs of safety, fire, weather, and emergency drills conducted in the 23-24 school year. State statute requires the administration to report to the board on the status of drills conducted during the prior school year. As with any drill or emergency, our district utilizes a standard response protocol throughout our system. Each classroom, and learning space has signage with drill language and safety routes posted. The protocol provides a response for our schools to use for critical incidents, provide consistent, clear, and shared language, and actions among all students, staff, and first responders. The committee members reviewed and discussed the data on the drill log, summary sheets, and the response protocols. All right, that completes my report for this evening. The committee will meet again on Tuesday, December 3rd at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final comments or questions on student services? Okay. Next committee report is Human Resources and Compensation. Back to Mrs. Koenig.
Thank you, Madam President. Earlier this evening, the HR and Compensation Committee approved the 2025-2026 school calendar. It was presented to the board in October for review. And as in years past, we have already obtained teacher feedback at the Superintendent's Advisory Committee for Professional Staff and for the Superintendent's Advisory Council for Parents. A copy of the calendar is available on Board Docs. A few notes on the calendar include the first day of school will be Tuesday, September 2nd. Labor Day is September 1st. No school term may commence. No school term may commence prior to Labor Day, but not before 9/11 unless a waiver is granted. The last day of school for students will be June 11th, 2026. This will be an early release day for elementary and middle school students, which we are doing for the first time this year in 2025. Again, the calendar is in Board Docs for your reference. I move to approve the 2025-2026 calendar as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wad. Okay, any questions? Not seeing any. Mrs. Settinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Thomas Harland.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Gary Kozlowski.
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 8-0.
And there were no discussion or information items for this evening. So, Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Koenig. All right, our next committee tonight is Policy and Government Relations, which will be presented by Mr. Wad.
Thank you, Madam President. So as a result of pulling out policy 0167.3, now named or proposed to be renamed public comment and decorum at board meetings, we do have an action item. This policy was originally on the consent agenda this evening, as I noted, but I asked it to be removed and brought forward as an individual action for the board. It was originally brought to the Policy and Governance Committee, Government Relations Committee, I'm sorry, in October. A few tweaks consisting of reordering material and delineating between public comment and decorum at board meetings were offered. The committee also suggested additional minor revisions, which were brought back to the committee for further discussion this month, and all changes were passed unanimously. I requested to be brought back to the full board for consideration from the consent agenda to ensure that not only is the public aware of the current policy and the changes recommended, but to provide all board members an opportunity to discuss this policy and offer further revisions they may feel are appropriate. To provide that opportunity, I hereby move adoption of policy 0167.3, public comment at board meetings, since renamed to public comment and decorum at board meetings, as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Harlan. Okay, are there any comments or questions or thoughts about that? I don't have any problem with the policy that the committee went through and converged on. I think, if anything, what we've learned over the last few years is that we have the leverage around time, place, and manner, which we talk about often. But I think we do a really good job as a board in giving our community the opportunity to say the things that they want and need to say as appropriate. We have fewer restrictions than I think most districts around us. We offer the podium to all speakers, not just resident speakers. And I think some of the manner pieces that we've put in place have just made it fair, ensured that we don't have people standing with signs behind speakers who are trying to get one point across while others are trying to say something differently. And so I feel that it does work very well. I know we kind of experimented with the time piece a couple years ago because I, as a community member, felt like when you've got one person speaking and you cut them off abruptly at 3 minutes and you look around the room and there's nobody else waiting to speak, that it's just a courtesy that we can let people finish their thoughts. So I think so far it's been going well, and I think our community members have actually done a really nice job of respecting one another and unfortunately, there are limits to what we can interrupt, and we have to give people the microphone in many cases, and whether we like it or not. So I think I like what you've done to change the structure of the policy a bit, because I think some of the things that we've had to navigate over the years have been addressed in policy toward the speaker, but not necessarily decorum within the room. So I think the structure of it, and I think the name change of it makes a lot of sense to me. Anybody else? Mrs. Voigt.
The policy has definitely evolved over the last several years, and I think that it's at a good place. And very positive changes that have been made to that public comment section.
Thank you. I know most of us have been on the other side of the podium, so we're speaking from experience and trying to be fair. So, okay, I'm not seeing any other comments. Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
David Wad.
Aye.
Thomas Harland.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 8-0. Back to you, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Madam President. So, under discussion and information items, we were fortunate to have Wisconsin State Senator Julian Bradley as a guest, and he spoke to us about his work related to artificial intelligence in the legislature. Senator Bradley provided a summary of the work of the Legislative Council Study Committee and on the regulation of artificial intelligence in Wisconsin, where he serves as the chairman. The director of the AI committee is to review the use of artificial intelligence opportunities and the feasibility of establishing legislation to protect from misuse. He called out that states such as Colorado, California, and Connecticut have already passed artificial intelligence legislation, and Senator Bradley's committee is watching to see how it goes, as they don't want to be too restrictive or create unnecessary constraints. Cyberbullying is a topic that came up frequently with the committee, and fortunately, there are existing laws on the books that cover the use of artificial intelligence and cyberbullying. Academic honesty was also discussed, which is obviously an area that we're particularly interested in as a board. And he mentioned that there are tools, resources available that can assist with the detection of artificial intelligence misuse. He also spoke to the state of the Wisconsin 25 to 27 biennial budget update. He explained that currently agencies are in the process of developing their budgets, and the governor will submit his budget address early next year. We also had a discussion around referendums and how they outstate or elsewhere in the state referendums impact school aids to other districts. Senator Bradley intends to address the topic of how passage of these referendums in other districts serve in many cases to impact negatively the state aid of other school districts who spend less and/or who have not passed referendums, which increase spending beyond their revenue limit. This has the effect of causing lower spending districts to increase their levies to make up for the loss in school aid. And as I have called out both in finance and perhaps even here in the board, the passage of the Milwaukee MPS referendum last year is likely to cost us $2.2 million, according to the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, who did some analysis of this last year, simply because they are spending so much money. So Senator Bradley acknowledged he believes that the current school aid formulas can serve to incentivize that kind of spending via referendums, and he believes it's contrary to what he believes the original intent of the school aid formula was. So he will be discussing further with his colleagues in Madison in hopes this loophole can be closed in the upcoming legislative session. I think we're very grateful to have Senator Bradley join us on Monday evening. Any questions on that at all? Mrs. Voigt?
Mrs. Voigt, and then Mr. Brooks.
It's not a question, but a comment. I think it was really very impressive to have him here to speak to us, and for Mr. Wad to be able to present one of the concerns we've talked about, and for him to be very receptive to taking that back for further discussion at the legislative level. It's nice to have that kind of direct feedback, and I appreciate that Dr. Siebert set this up for us.
Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. Yeah, I was grateful to have Senator Bradley here, especially with his work on the study committee over the summer. That's still ongoing on artificial intelligence. One of the reasons why I had initially brought this topic up for future discussion at the committee level was we've seen in other states around the country where students are, and staff in some cases, are using AI generative images to, for bad purposes, cyberbullying and whatnot. And in other states, we've seen situations where, because there's nothing in statute, either at the board level or at the state legislative level, they don't know how to proceed in holding people accountable who abuse these developing technologies. And I appreciated Senator Bradley's commentary on that and shedding insight into what's in statute here in the state of Wisconsin. But I also appreciated, I think it's easy to look at all the things that AI can be used for negatively, especially in a school setting. I appreciated the fact that he also talked about how businesses are benefiting from this and how we as a school district might teach students to work with artificial intelligence to help prepare them for the workplace and fill some of those shortages and help prepare students for what comes after high school.
Mrs. White? Speaking to that, I was impressed that he had been out to WCTC in their new AI lab and, aware of what's going on here in Waukesha County to be able to educate on the topic of AI.
I always like to say you have to have the I in order to have effective AI, and sometimes we forget about the I part and jump right to synthetic information. So I think the collaboration, knowing that we've got representatives that are addressing it, understanding how it affects us within the district, and having that dialogue is really valuable.
All right. Next up, we had some technical corrections. Technical corrections were made to policy 1210, board superintendent relationship, 0143.1, public expression of board members, and 7544, social media, which all reference policy 0144.5, which has the new title, approval of board member behavior, communications, and code of conduct. I'd also like to provide some clarification around technical corrections for the future. Policy 0131.1, bylaws and policies, states that technical corrections to policies are made by the superintendent and are there to inform the board of technical corrections no later than the next regular board meeting. The point of that is it is informational. It is not an action item. It's not something the policy committee is being asked to approve or not. So board members requesting additional changes to policies identified as having received technical corrections should be requested to be added to the agenda of the appropriate committee at a future meeting by following our standard process of requesting it during the recommendation for future meetings portion of whether it's the board meeting or the committee meeting, or by reaching out to the board president or appropriate committee chair who would have oversight for the policy in question. As it relates to the policies that are listed on today's board agenda, policy 221, special observance days, and policies 3216 and 4216, staff dress and appearance, Mrs. Voigt at the October policy committee had asked during the technical corrections portion to bring those back to policy for further discussion. In reviewing that and discussing it with Dr. Siebert, we determined that the appropriate way to do this, which would be to have them referred on to the appropriate committee and asked to be added through future agendas as future agenda items. So policy 221, special observance days, should be referred to Mrs. Piasek, the chair of teaching and learning, and policies 3216 and 4216, staff dress and appearance, should be referred to Mr. Browski, chair of the human resources committee. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on all of that, but.
Yeah, I I just want to make a comment because I do appreciate you clarifying that. And I know it came up at the last board meeting, just to kind of clarify how we want to address that. I think with the way that we're handling policies now, like within the committee that has the subject matter expertise, I think that's working quite well. But I also don't want people to feel like we're just kind of kicking things around until they land in the right place, which could take too long. Just as a reminder, I think too, the way that Mr. Wad, you and Dr. Siebert work together, I think as statutory changes influence policy, and Neola brings that forward, and that kind of comes through Dr. Siebert, and then you work together to distribute those out to the different committees, so that's working quite well. I think when a board member has a request, things might pop up in different places, and I think when we move, and Mrs. Voigt did reach out about agendizing that special observances to TNL, which I think makes sense because that's the committee that actually made approved that in, I think it was August of 2023. So there were statutory changes that came that led to that coming to that committee that was approved. But one clarification, and this is just for everybody's collective, I would say information, but also we could discuss this. I think it's important that if you want to agendize something, whether it be for discussion or action, because if we just want to talk about the policy that's in place, we would agendize that for discussion. If there's a recommended modification to the policy, then the board member should actually bring that modification forward before it's placed on the agenda. Otherwise, we're going to get into the committee meeting in a discussion context, right? So we're not just in practice, we're not bringing individual policies forward just for discussion. We're bringing them forward because we either have a recommended change or we have a statutory change that's affecting that. And that's where I think sometimes the technical corrections happen just because, well, we had a name change or we had a phrasing change or a statutory number change. And that doesn't necessarily open it for discussion and action. So I think just as you all consider what Mr. Wad shared and how we bring things forward, I think it's important to say, do we want to talk about this, or are you making a substantive change or recommending a change to that policy that would bring it forward as a possible action, if that makes sense?
Thank you, Madam President. The final item is, we did have a recommendation for a future meeting. Mrs. Voigt requested that the committee relook at advocacy efforts around school drills as outlined in State Statute 118.07 to maximize instructional time. As the chair, I'll work with Dr. Siebert to determine potential next steps. Any questions on any of that? All right. Next Policy and Government Relations Committee meeting is December 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Our final committee for tonight is Finance and Facilities, which will be presented by Mrs. Kozlowski.
Thank you, Dr. Piasek. The Finance and Facilities Committee met on Monday, November 11th. There were no action items on the agenda and 4 discussion or information items. The first discussion item was the Airmark food service report. We get an update on an annual basis from Airmark on the participation and utilization levels of our breakfast and lunch programs. They highlighted the growth in overall meal participation levels, reviewed marketing efforts, and gave an update on South High School's new POD station, the Black Shirt Express, which we actually were able to see on the student spotlights tonight, which was really great. All right, the second discussion item was the district budget development. The committee reviewed the budget development calendar for next year's budget, which is 2025-2026. We shared some baseline financial information and presented a set of preliminary budget assumptions that will be created in the School District of Waukesha's long-range budget projection. The third discussion item was a fund balance report. The committee was presented with a fund balance report and presented from fiscal year 6/30/2024 represents the near final numbers for the 2023-2024 school year. I think that point is, it's important for us to understand where our fund balance levels are as we concluded the year and as we start taking a look at many of the projections that we are building as we look at long-term strategic planning that the administration is working through, as well as we start to build the next budget. Despite that we just concluded last year's budget, this is information that is useful for us to understand what our foundation is into the next year. And the final discussion item was the monthly budget report. We noted that interest rates are declining, reviewed a budget chart question, and indicated that the School District of Waukesha made the October interest debt service payment. All other items are going as planned and budgeted. The next F&F meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. in the boardroom. Dr. Piasek, this concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions about finance and facilities? Okay. Are there any recommendations for future board or committee action or discussion items? Mrs. Boyd.
At this point, I would bring forward the two items that were referenced earlier from Policy and Government Relations. I'd like to have the Teaching and Learning Committee look at Policy 2221, Special Observance Days. Questions have been raised to me about the idea of Indigenous People Day, and that would be a topic to, that fits under that category, and just for discussion.
So for discussion only? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also, Policy 3216 and 4216, reference that to the HR Committee, HR and Compensation, specifically wanting to look at, it came up in the technical corrections, and as I was reading through it, there are references to the 2012 revisions on COVID masking that I thought should be reviewed at this point, if they need to still be included in the policy.
Okay. So also for discussion?
That would be a recommendation for action to remove that language.
Okay, I'll follow up with you on that. I think it would be appropriate to bring a revision, so otherwise we can't really take an action unless we have a revision coming, right? We could agendize it differently. Okay, okay, thank you. All right. We do have a need for closed session tonight, so I would be looking for someone to motion us into closed session. Mrs. Kozlowski? No.
I'm just asking, is it B and C?
We do need B and C. Do we need B?
I don't know if we really need to be.
Okay, we just need C. We need Mr. Moore back to read the motion. Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
I move to adjourn to executive session per Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent F, to consider financial, medical, social, or personal histories of disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons which, if discussed in public, would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations, specifically to consider a level 4 complaint under School Board Policy 9130.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Diane Voigt,
Aye.
Betty Koenig,
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski,
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Thomas Harland.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 8-0. We will not be returning from closed session, so that adjourns our meeting for tonight.